Welcome back to Sports Done Right. In our last video, we counted down the 10 biggest NBA MVP snubs of all time. So today we're going to count down the 10 biggest NFL MVP snubs of all time. No, Lamar Jackson is not on this list. I know that a lot of people think he should have won MVP last year over Josh Allen. I'm not one of those people. I firmly believe Josh Allen deserved that award. I don't care that Lamar had better stats. Lamar's stats are irrelevant. They do not matter. You know why? Because they're inflated because of the fact he had Derrick Henry in the backfield. And when you have a quarterback that runs 4.240 and you have the best power back of the 21st century in your backfield, you have the most deadly RPO offense of all time. Meanwhile, Josh Allen did not have the best running back in the league. He lost his top two receivers. This was a year where he was forced to step up and do it himself, and that's exactly what he did. And oh yeah, he's the only one that beat Patrick Mahomes in the regular season. So Allen deserved that MVP. Cry me a river, Lamar fans. Had to get that off my chest. So now if you don't know who I am, you don't know where you're at, Kibo, let him know.
I got my head in the game. I'm willing and ready to win. Authentic and I never pretend. Going hard, let the battle begin. I'm in a whole nother league, and I'm just keeping it real. This be the show that you need, whether we on the court or the field. Yeah. So if you love the game and you wanna hate less, and you sick and tired of only listening to Skip Bayless, you know we gotta keep it hype. This is Sports Done Right. Let's go.
The number 10 biggest NFL MVP snub of all time, Marshall Faulk in 2001. Arguably no running back or even player had a better 3-year stretch than Marshall Faulk did from 1999 to 2001. In those 3 seasons, Faulk placed second, first, and second in MVP voting, and he really could have took home the award any one of those 3 seasons. In 2001, he had more rushing yards than he did in his MVP season, despite only playing 14 games, and he led the league in yards per carry and yards per game. He continued to be one of the best dual-threat backs of all time with over 80 catches and 700 yards. Surprisingly, though, the MVP went to Kurt Warner, and I get he was the quarterback of the best team in the league, and he threw for almost 5,000 yards. But can a quarterback really throw 22 interceptions in the 21st century and win MVP? I mean, I would have given it to Michael Strahan over Warner. This was the year that Strahan set the sack record. More accurately, this is the year that Brett Favre laid down and gave him the sack record, but he still would have been a more deserving winner than Kurt Warner. No offense to Warner. Number 9, Jerry Rice in 1995. Jerry Rice, in his unparalleled 20-year career, accomplished more than we have time to get into, but what sets it all is he was all-decades team in the 80s and 90s and was still playing in the 2000s. Let that sink in. I don't have time to let that sink in. We're moving forward. One thing Jerry Rice never did do in his illustrious career was win NFL MVP. Could have done it in 1987 when he scored 22 touchdowns. Could have done it in 1993 when he scored 16 total touchdowns. An actual MVP winner, Emmitt Smith, only scored 10. And he definitely should have done it in 1995. When he set the single-season receiving yard record with over 1,800 yards and had over 100 yards in over half the games he played in. But the award went to Brett Favre. And this whole best star quarterback on the league's best team thing, it's no excuse for robbing Jerry Rice. All due respect to the gunslinger, but just because he was the best quarterback putting up the biggest numbers does not mean he was the best player. Number 8, Drew Brees. And this is one of those, really? That player retired without an MVP? Yeah, well, that's what happens when you play in the same era as Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and Aaron Rodgers. Brees was a 13-time Pro Bowler, a Super Bowl winner, a Super Bowl MVP, but he never did win league MVP. You can argue his best chance came in 2011 when he broke Dan Marino's single-season passing yard record with 5,476 yards. It truly was a golden age of passing. His 46 touchdowns were a career high, and he completed 71.2% of his passes, which at the time was a career high, and he led the league in all 3 categories. Aaron Rodgers ended up winning the award, and that's going to become a theme in this video. But if Brees was going to win one, this was the year to do it. Number 7, LaDainian Tomlinson, 2003. Alright, controversy alert, but I'm about to pick a player that didn't even make the Pro Bowl. LaDainian Tomlinson in 2003 comes in at number 7 on this list. And I don't want to hear it because that Charger team sucked, and without LaDainian Tomlinson, they would have gone 0-16 easy. They would not have won a game without this man. And I know a lot of running backs had great years in 2003. Jamal Lewis led the league in rushing. You had Brees Holmes had a great year. Clinton Portis had a great year. I'll boot Portis and give LaDainian Tomlinson that Pro Bowl spot. And forget the tug of war between Peyton Manning and Steve McNair for the MVP. MVP, give it to LT. Tomlinson was the Chargers offense in 03. He rushed for 1,645 yards, averaging a career-high 5.3 yards per carry. He caught 100 passes as a running back, 725 yards and 4 touchdowns, all career highs, and placing first or second in each category on the Chargers roster. He even completed a 21-yard touchdown pass. I mean, nobody was doing more for their team than LaDainian Tomlinson was in 2003. When you have a running back averaging over 100 yards per game, catching 100 passes, and he's throwing a touchdown pass, yeah, that's your MVP. Number 6, Priest Holmes in 2002. Holmes barely beat out Marvin Harrison for Offensive Player of the Year in 2002, while the trio of Rich Gannon, Brett Favre, and Steve McNair held a Mexican standoff for MVP. Holmes joined the Kansas City Chiefs in 2001 after sharing a backfield with Jamal Lewis in Baltimore. His first 3 seasons in KC were as good as any 3-year stretch by any player in NFL history, racking up 6,566 scrimmage yards and 3 first-team All-Pro selections. But arguably his best season was in 2002. Over 1,600 yards, 5.2 yards per carry, and 21 touchdowns. That was a great season. I don't care what era you're playing in. On top of it, he's catching 70 passes for 600 yards. Yeah, stop overlooking skill position players. The craziest part of it all is that he finished with the 5th most scrimmage yards of all time, 2,287, and he only played 14 games. Number 5, Cooper Kupp in 2021. Likewise, there's a lot of great players that didn't win MVP because they weren't Aaron Rodgers. Cooper Kupp is one of those players. In 2021, Cooper Kupp made history in the new 17-game format. Kupp fell 17 yards shy of the single-season receiving yard record. He also was 4 receptions shy of the single-season record. While he didn't break any of those records, he did accomplish the fabled Triple Crown, leading the league in receptions, 145, receiving yards, 1947, and receiving touchdowns with 16. While Kupp didn't win league MVP, he would walk away with a Super Bowl MVP that year. Number 4, Reggie White in 1987. And this is the kind of injustice that makes me question the credibility of these so-called experts. Because really, John Elway winning MVP in 1987, in a 12-game season, Reggie White recorded 21 sacks in 12 games. Reggie White was dominating on the gridiron like Shaquille O'Neal wrecking rims in his prime. A prime Shaq in the paint. That is what Reggie White was on the defensive line. 21 sacks in 12 games. The fact that he wasn't even a unanimous Defensive Player of the Year is just a testament to how good Bruce Smith was. But in case I haven't thoroughly hammered home this point, Mark Gastineau set the then sack record in 1984 with 22 sacks in 16 games. White was just 1 sack shy of that record in 4 fewer games. Number 3, Randle Cunningham in 1990. The ultimate weapon. That's what Randle Cunningham was. Arguably the first great dual-threat quarterback. Cunningham is remembered throughout history as a human highlight reel. He could throw the ball 80 yards. He could even punt the ball 80 yards if he wanted to, which he did. Rambling Randle will also go down as one of the unluckiest players ever. Randle Cunningham came in second in MVP voting 3 times in his career. In 1988, 1990, and 1998. While you could argue that the 98 season was his best, passing for over 3,700 yards and 34 touchdowns, and a career-high 106 passer rating during his renaissance in Minnesota, I'm going to say 1990 was his best shot at winning MVP, or at least the year that he was most deserving. Cunningham in 1990 was can't-miss TV. The Eagles went 10-6 with the 3rd highest scoring offense in the league. He had a cannon of an arm, throwing for 3,466 yards and 30 touchdowns, and his mobility was the most mesmerizing part of his game. He rushed for over 900 yards. In a game against New England, he had 4 touchdown passes and 124 rushing yards. In a game against Buffalo, he had one of his signature highlight reel plays where Bruce Smith is bearing down on him and he ducks and pulls off a move that only Michael Vick or Lamar Jackson could have pulled off, evading the pressure and launching a 98-yard touchdown pass. This really was Randle's year, and it's tragic that he never did win MVP. Number 2, Dan Fouts in 1982. This has to be a direct result of the crack epidemic, right? 82 was another one of those weird seasons. A player strike shortened the season to 9 games. Dan Fouts was a gunslinger in every sense of the word. He had the strongest arm in the West, and was the trigger man of the Air Coryell offense. He was basically Billy the Kid in 1982. His Charger gang was committing great train robberies every Sunday, the highest scoring offense in the league. But none were more egregious than the robbery that was perpetrated by the voters who gave the MVP award to a kicker. And by the way, Mark Mosley didn't even have a perfect season. It's not like he was a kicker that made every single field goal attempt that year. No. If you're a kicker and you're winning MVP, you better have knocked down every single shot. It was rare to see quarterbacks pass for over 400 yards back then, but Fouts did it in back-to-back games and averaged a career-high 320 yards per game. It just... I don't know, the one time a quarterback puts up huge numbers and gets snubbed for the award for a different position. And it was a kicker. It was rare for a quarterback to put up over 400 yards in a game back then. Fouts did it in back-to-back games, and he had a career-high 320 yards per game. Fouts played a bigger role on his team. I would have given Fouts the award. Hell, I would have given Fouts' go-to receiver, Wes Chandler, the award. Chandler averaged a touchdown per game that year. Rookie of the Year Marcus Allen would have been a better choice. He scored 11 touchdowns. Defensive juggernauts Lawrence Taylor or Ted Hendricks would have been better choices. I would have even given it to Jack Lambert. The number one MVP snub of all time, J.J. Watt in 2014. This is my number one with a bullet. I would die on this hill. Fight me, revisionist historians. I don't have a vendetta against Aaron Rodgers, even though I've stripped him of multiple MVPs at this point. But the 2014 award really should have gone to J.J. Watt. Watt had one of the greatest single-season performances of any athlete in professional sports history, let alone the NFL. Not only did Watt rustle up 20.5 sacks, making him the first player with multiple 20-sack seasons, but he led the league with 29 tackles for loss. Watt was a force of nature, recovering 5 fumbles and returning 1 for a touchdown. He intercepted a pass and ran it back 80 yards for a pick 6. He even earned the nickname Robo-Swat because early in his career he was deflecting passes at the line of scrimmage left and right. In 2014, he swatted down 10 balls. Watt was one of the greatest athletes of all time, and they even put him in on offense and he started catching passes as a tight end. He caught 3 passes for 4 yards and 3 touchdowns. Watt recorded a safety, scoring in 4 different ways. He had 20 plus sacks and scored over 30 points in the same season. That will never be done again. Justice for JJ. And if you're still watching at this point, thank you so much for all the support. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel for more, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah. So if you love the game and you wanna hate less, and you sick and tired of only listening to Skip Bayless, you know we gotta keep it hype. This is sports done right. Let's go.